In the cold vacuum of space, a forgotten relic floated, its ancient signals whispering secrets into the void. James Marlowe, relic hunter extraordinaire, clung to the exterior of the derelict spacecraft, his fingers numbed by the chill of the unyielding metal. Beneath his helmet, his breath came in frosty clouds, visible bursts of life in the lifeless expanse. With every heartbeat, a mix of dread and anticipation pulsed through him. The void called to him, a siren song of forgotten worlds and lost civilizations, promising the answer to a mystery that had haunted him since childhood. What really happened to Earth? James adjusted his grip on the icy surface of the spacecraft, the stars reflecting in his visor as he peered into the blackness. Around him, Station Zenith loomed like a behemoth of the cosmos, its lights a stark contrast against the darkness. It was more than just a space hub. It was a sanctuary for the remnants of 1,000 worlds, each with stories etched into its sprawling, mismatched corridors. He moved carefully, the tools of his trade jangling softly against his suit as he approached the entry point. A breach in the hull, silent testimony to some long-forgotten catastrophe. Inside, the airlock was a gaping maw, pulling him into the bowels of the ship. His headlamp cut through the darkness, illuminating layers of dust that danced like tiny specters in the beam. The interior of the spacecraft was a time capsule, panels hung open with wires spilling out like the entrails of some metallic beast. Every surface was covered with the grime of ages, untouched since the crew last walked these halls. James' heart raced as he imagined their voices echoing through the ship, a ghostly choir that grew louder with each step he took deeper into the craft. His destination was the control room. The door slid open with a reluctant groan, revealing a chamber filled with consoles bathed in the eerie glow of emergency lighting. The main console was a relic of a bygone era, its screens dormant yet imposing. James approached it, his hand hesitating above the activation sequence. This was it, the moment of truth. He pressed down, and the console flickered to life, a series of cryptic symbols scrolling across the screen. He scanned the data, a frown etching deeper into his face with each passing second. The readings were clear, yet unbelievable. A signal, strong and unmistakable, was broadcasting coordinates deep into uncharted space. It was an invitation, or a challenge. For James, whose life had been spent scouring the galaxy for just such secrets, it was a call he could not ignore. As he copied the coordinates, his mind raced with the possibilities. What could lie at these coordinates? Was it a clue to the ultimate fate of Earth, his home planet, whose memory was now little more than a myth? The questions consumed him, setting a fire in his veins that he hadn't felt in years. With the data secured, James made his way back to his ship, the Nomad. As he docked, his crew greeted him with a mix of excitement and concern. Zara, the navigator, caught his arm as he floated past. "James, what did you find?" she asked, her voice tinged with the weight of countless similar quests. "Hope, Zara," he replied, his eyes alight with a fierce joy, or madness. "But either way, we've got a new course to set. Strap in." As the Nomad disengaged from Station Zenith, the vastness of space stretched before them, filled with the silent echoes of 1,000 civilizations waiting to be discovered. James looked back once at the receding station, then faced forward. Ahead lay the unknown, and with it, the key to unlocking the past, or perhaps altering the future. In the depths of space, James Marlowe was no longer just a relic hunter. He was a seeker of truths, driven by the remnants of a world lost to the stars, racing towards a destiny written in the light of long-dead stars. The journey was fraught with peril, but for James the promise of understanding was worth every risk. The mystery of Earth's fate called to him, and he would answer. The Nomad was not just a ship, it was a vessel of dreams, stitched together with hope and the relentless pursuit of the unknown. As it cut through the cosmos, its engines humming a steady rhythm, James Marlowe sat in the captain's chair, his gaze fixed on the star-strewn void beyond the viewport. The coordinates embedded in the ancient signal led to a sector of space so remote that it didn't even have a name, Only a designation, Sector 27X. James knew he couldn't undertake this journey alone. The risks were too great, and the unknowns even greater. He needed a team, not just skilled individuals, but people who shared his passion for the secrets of the cosmos and had the mettle to face whatever they might find. First, he turned to Zara, his longtime navigator. Her species, the Naviri, were born with an innate sense of direction and an ability to perceive celestial currents invisible to most. Her slender form and quiet demeanor belied a fierce spirit and a mind as sharp as any quantum computer. Zara had navigated through asteroid fields and supernova remnants, her skills proven in countless scrapes. "Zara, I need your eyes on this journey," James said, handing her the data slate with the coordinates. "There's no one else I trust to steer us through the unknown." Zara's luminous eyes flickered over the slate, a hint of excitement beneath her usually impassive face. "It's deep, James. Past the outer rim, through the Maelstrom Nebula. It's not going to be easy." "Since when have we ever done anything easy?" James replied with a grin. Next, he recruited Rex, a former Galactic Marine, now a mercenary, with no allegiance except to those who could afford his loyalty. But for James, Rex had always made an exception. They had saved each other's lives more times than either could count. Rex's reputation was legendary. Tall and imposing, his body was a patchwork of scars and cybernetic enhancements, each one a story of survival. James found Rex in the training bay, engaged in a simulated combat with holographic enemies. "I'm putting a team together," James shouted over the din of simulated gunfire. Rex deactivated the program, turning to face him, his expression unreadable. "Where are we headed?" "Edge of the galaxy, chasing a ghost signal from Earth," James said, knowing full well the appeal these words held. Rex cracked a rare smile. "Count me in. It's been too quiet around here anyway." The final piece of the puzzle was Tilly, a prodigious young tech wizard, whose ability to wrangle quantum algorithms had saved the Nomad more than once. Tilly lived in a world of wires and code, her quarters a jungle of servers and spare parts. Her youth was offset by a brilliance that none could deny, and her enthusiasm for the cryptic and mysterious was boundless. James approached her as she was elbow-deep in the guts of a malfunctioning navigation console. "Tilly, how do you feel about a real challenge?" he asked, watching her deftly reconnect circuits. Pulling her goggles up, she glanced at him with a smirk. "Depends on the challenge." "What's up?" "We've got a signal. An old Earth signal. It's leading somewhere off the charts," James explained, watching her reaction closely. Tilly wiped her hands, her eyes alight with curiosity. "You had me at Earth signal. I'm in." With his team assembled, James called a meeting in the Nomad's cramped but cozy briefing room. The walls were lined with maps of star systems and galaxies, the ceiling a transparent dome that offered a view of the infinite cosmos above. Here, surrounded by the vastness of space, James laid out the mission. "We're heading into uncharted territory," he began, his voice steady. "The risks are high, but the rewards, if we can find what this signal is pointing to, could change everything. We're not just relic hunters on this one. We're on the trail of history itself." As the team discussed logistics and preparations, a sense of unity formed among them, a shared commitment to the journey ahead. They were more than a crew. They were pioneers on the brink of the greatest discovery of their lives. As the meeting adjourned, the Nomad set its course. The engines roared to life, a beacon of civilization in the dark, carrying them forward into the void. James watched the stars, feeling the weight of centuries on his shoulders and the thrill of adventure in his heart. The quest for Earth's echoes had begun, and the Nomad sailed onward, a speck of light in the vast ocean of space, chasing a signal that was a whisper from the past, calling them to a future unwritten. The Nomad cruised at sublight speed, its destination cloaked in the swirling mists of the Maelstrom Nebula. As the ship approached the colossal gas giant, the views from the observation deck were nothing short of otherworldly. The nebula's colors shifted and churned in cosmic flux, a ballet of blues, greens, and violets, painted against the black canvas of space. James stood by the window, his eyes reflecting the nebula's eerie glow. Beside him, Zara calibrated the ship's sensors, her fingers dancing over the controls with practiced ease. The nebula was notorious not just for its beauty, but for its dangers: electromagnetic storms that could fry a ship's electronics and dense asteroid fields that could tear a hull to shreds. "Keep us on the fringe, Zara," James instructed, his gaze never leaving the swirling vortex of colors outside. "I don't want to end up as space debris." Zara nodded, her focus unbroken. "I'll keep us safe, but I need you to trust my instincts. We might have to go deeper than planned." The ship trembled as they skirted the edge of the nebula, the external buffers straining against the cosmic winds. Every so often, a brighter color streak would zoom past, remnants of planets and stars long consumed by the nebula's insatiable hunger. Below decks, Rex and Tilly prepared for the worst. Rex checked every weapon and shield generator, ensuring they were battle-ready. Tilly dove into her algorithms, creating new firewalls and backup systems. The nebula was a pirate's haven, taking advantage of the impaired sensors of any ship brave enough to enter. As they ventured deeper, a distress signal suddenly pierced the silence, slicing through the nebula's static. It was weak and intermittent, but unmistakably a call for help. James glanced at Zara, who met his gaze with an unspoken question. "It could be a trap," Rex voiced from behind them, his hand instinctively resting on his blaster. "Or someone in genuine need," Tilly countered, her youthful optimism shining through her concerned expression. James weighed their options, knowing each choice carried its own set of risks. "Zara, take us in, but slowly. Keep the shields up and weapons hot. Rex, Tilly, be on standby." The Nomad eased toward the signal's origin, a small craft adrift among the swirling gases. It was battered and scarred, its distress beacon flickering like a dying star. As they drew closer, the damage told a tale of a violent skirmish: hull breaches, scorched metal, and shattered viewports. With cautious precision, the Nomad extended its docking tube to the stranded vessel. James led the boarding party, Rex and Tilly at his sides, each step measured under the weight of their protective suits. The airlock hissed open, revealing a corridor shrouded in darkness. Their lights pierced the gloom, revealing the chaos within. Panels were ripped from the walls, wires sparked intermittently, and the air was thick with the acrid scent of burnt electronics. As they moved deeper into the ship, they found the crew, or what was left of them. Two bodies, lifeless, floated in the zero-gravity environment, their faces frozen in terror. Tilly's device beeped suddenly, breaking the somber silence. "I've accessed their logs," she whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. "They were attacked by pirates, took refuge in the nebula, hoping it would shield them. It didn't." James's jaw tightened as he recorded the ship's coordinates. "Let's salvage what we can and give them a proper send-off. No one deserves to be forgotten out here." They returned to the Nomad with not just salvage but a renewed sense of urgency and caution. The nebula was more dangerous than they had anticipated, not just naturally but because of the predators it hid. As the Nomad resumed its course, James reflected on their encounter. The nebula had tested them, not just their skill and resolve, but their humanity. Ahead lay their destination, still veiled in mystery and now tinged with foreboding. As the Nomad emerged from the swirling chaos of the Maelstrom Nebula, the space beyond seemed eerily calm, a stark contrast to the tumult they had left behind. Ahead lay the Corellian Fields, an expanse of space known for its ancient ruins floating amidst the celestial dust, remnants of a civilization long extinct. This area, rarely traversed and poorly mapped, was the next waypoint on their journey to unravel the Earth signal. The ship sailed through the star-speckled darkness, its path illuminated by distant suns and the occasional flicker of comet tails. James stood at the helm beside Zara, his eyes scanning the void, aware that every piece of debris could be a clue or a key to understanding the lost technologies of Earth. "Activate the deep scan, Tilly," James called over his shoulder, his voice resonant in the quiet of the bridge. "On it, Captain," Tilly responded, her fingers flying over her console, bringing the ship's advanced sensors online. The screen in front of her lit up with streams of data, pinging occasionally as it detected objects in the vicinity. The first few hours were uneventful, until a significant blip appeared on the radar, drawing their attention to a large mass concealed within a cloud of cosmic dust. As the Nomad approached, the outlines of an ancient structure emerged, its architecture unlike anything they had encountered before. "It looks like some kind of temple or monument," Zara remarked, her voice filled with awe. "Or a tomb," Rex added, his tone wary as he checked his weapons, ready for whatever they might find. James decided to lead a team to the structure. They suited up and disembarked, the silence of space enveloping them as they drifted towards the ghostly form. The structure was colossal, its surface etched with symbols that glowed faintly, powered by an unknown source after eons. Inside, the air was stale, the gravity generators still functioning at minimal capacity, a testament to the advanced engineering of its creators. The walls were lined with murals depicting star maps, celestial events, and a narrative of a journey across galaxies, a journey that seemed eerily similar to their own. Tilly, ever curious, approached one of the murals, her scanner in hand. "These symbols, they're not just art. They're telling a story, maybe even instructions," she mused, her voice echoing slightly under her helmet. As they ventured deeper into the structure, they found a chamber at its heart, where a pedestal stood, holding a device composed of materials that defied their scanners. It was orb-like, pulsating with a soft light that throbbed in sync with the beats of their hearts. James reached out, hesitating only a moment before touching the device. The moment his fingers made contact, the room filled with a holographic display of the galaxy. Points of light connected by lines, forming a network that centered around a single uncharted region, likely their final destination. "This was left here for someone to find," James said, realization dawning on him. "We were meant to come here." As they absorbed the implications, a sudden jolt shook the temple. They stumbled, catching each other in the low gravity. Outside, through the temple's transparent ceiling, they saw ships descending towards them, pirate raiders, likely alerted by their ship's activity. "Back to the Nomad, now," James barked, the sense of discovery replaced by urgency. They raced back through the temple's corridors, the sounds of their pursuers' ships growing louder. Back aboard the Nomad, Rex took the helm, executing evasive maneuvers as Tilly worked feverishly to bring their defenses online. Zara plotted a rapid exit course, her hands steady despite the adrenaline. The chase was brief but intense, with the Nomad weaving through asteroid fields, narrowly avoiding blasts from the pirate ships. Just when capture seemed inevitable, James made a call to dive back into the nebula, using its perilous terrain to their advantage. The pirates, unwilling to risk the nebula's dangers, broke off their pursuit, leaving the Nomad to disappear into the cosmic mists once more. Exhausted but alive, the crew gathered in the bridge, the weight of their escape palpable in the air. They had a new destination, a part of the map unlocked, and a realization that their journey was more significant than any of them had anticipated. As the Nomad sailed onward, cloaked by the nebula's embrace, the story continued, deeper into the shadows of the past and towards a future that was slowly unraveling before them. The Nomad emerged from the nebula's embrace, its hull scarred yet steadfast, bearing the marks of their harrowing escape. The galaxy beyond was a vast expanse of darkness, speckled with the light of distant stars, leading them deeper into uncharted territories. Ahead, the coordinates gleamed on the navigation panel, a lone planet in a forgotten system, its existence barely noted in any star map. As they approached, the planet revealed itself through the darkness, a world of stark contrast with jagged mountains piercing through its thick, cloud-covered atmosphere. Lightning storms raged across the dark skies, an ominous welcome to a place untouched by time. James, with a solemn expression, watched the planet grow larger on the view screen. "This is it," he said, his voice a mix of resolve and awe. "Everything we've faced has led us here." Zara adjusted the ship's orbit, her hands steady despite the turbulent atmosphere below. "We have a narrow window to land near the signal source before the next storm cycle," she informed the crew, her eyes never leaving her instruments. The Nomad descended through the roiling clouds, buffeted by winds that tested the ship's integrity. Below, the surface was a mosaic of ruins and overgrown jungles, evidence of a civilization that had once flourished and then inexplicably vanished. They landed on a plateau, the ground beneath them covered in moss and creeping vines that had taken root in the crevices of ancient stone structures. The air was heavy with the scent of rain and foliage, a stark contrast to the sterile environment of the ship. Equipped with their gear, the team disembarked. Rex led the way, his weapon at the ready, scanning the dense foliage for any signs of danger. Tilly's sensors pinged rhythmically, guiding them towards the heart of the signal. The jungle was alive with sounds, distant calls of unseen creatures and the rustle of leaves stirred by gentle winds. The ruins they passed were covered in glyphs and statues, silent sentinels watching over a secret long buried. After hours of trekking, they reached a clearing where the ruins converged around a central structure, an obelisk that pierced the sky, its surface shimmering with the same pulsating light they had seen in the temple. The ground around it was scorched, radiating a faint warmth, and at its base lay the source of the signal, a device much like the one they had found earlier, but larger, its sides etched with intricate patterns that glowed with an inner light. James approached the device, his hand hovering above it. This time, he didn't hesitate. As his fingers touched the cool metal, the device activated, revealing a holographic star map that expanded to encompass them, its lines and points intersecting in ways that defied normal spatial understanding. The artifact. "It's not just a map," Tilly breathed out, her eyes wide as she analyzed the data. "It's a key to manipulating space itself." The revelation was profound. The device, they realized, was a tool capable of bending the fabric of space, potentially allowing for instantaneous travel across the galaxy, or even beyond. But their awe was short-lived. From the shadows of the surrounding jungle, figures emerged, raiders like the ones who had chased them before, but more drawn by the artifact's activation. "Looks like we're not the only ones interested in this," Rex muttered, his voice tense as he readied his weapon. A tense standoff ensued. James stood protectively in front of the artifact, his crew beside him. "We can't let this fall into the wrong hands," he declared firmly, addressing both his team and the encroaching raiders. What followed was a desperate battle, the team using the ruins for cover as they defended the artifact. Amidst the chaos, James made a decision, one that would forever change their course. He activated the artifact, inputting coordinates that would send them to a place outside time and space, a refuge where they could study the artifact without threat. As the device hummed to life, a portal opened, swallowing them in a flash of blinding light. When their vision cleared, they found themselves in an unknown realm, the rules of physics seemingly rewritten around them. The raiders, unable to follow, were left behind as the portal snapped shut. In this new place, reality itself seemed pliable, dreamlike. The Nomad and her crew were safe, for now, but faced with new, unimaginable possibilities. James looked around, his crew beside him, their faces mixed with fear and wonder. They had found the artifact, unlocked its secrets, and now stood on the brink of the unknown. "We've crossed into a new frontier," he said, his voice steady. "Let's see where it leads." In the surreal expanse of the unknown realm, time seemed to stretch and compress simultaneously. The Nomad and her crew found themselves floating in a space that defied all conventional understanding, a dimension where the cosmic laws they knew were rewritten into an abstract tapestry of possibilities. Surrounding them, the realm pulsed with vibrant colors that flowed like liquid light, illuminating the Nomad in ethereal hues. Stars, nebulas, and darker voids swirled around them, close enough to touch yet impossibly distant. James stood at the command module, his eyes fixed on the panorama outside. The weight of their situation weighed heavily on him. They had escaped immediate danger, but at the cost of stranding themselves in a dimension that was utterly alien. "We need to understand where we are, and how to navigate this place," he said, his voice echoing slightly in the hushed atmosphere of the ship. Zara worked diligently at her station, her fingers gliding over the controls as she attempted to make sense of their surroundings. "The laws of physics here are different," she reported, her tone a mix of wonder and concern. "But I think I can begin to map it, to find us a path back." Tilly was equally absorbed, her youthful face lit by the glow of her screen. She interfaced with the artifact, which had become their lifeline. "It's like it's alive," she murmured, half to herself. "Every time I think I understand it, it changes, showing me new patterns, new possibilities." Rex stood guard, his usual readiness tempered by the odd peace of their surroundings. Even he couldn't deny the beauty of it, though he remained vigilant. "We're not out of the woods yet," he reminded everyone. "Just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's safe." As the crew adapted to their new environment, James led a meeting to discuss their next steps. They gathered around the central table, the artifact placed at its center, its surface shimmering softly under the ship's lights. "We've been given a gift," James began, his gaze on each of his crew members. "This artifact, this place, it's a chance to explore, to discover. But it also comes with a responsibility. What we learn here could change everything for everyone back home." The discussion that followed was intense. The possibilities were endless. Could they harness this power responsibly? Should they share it, or protect it from those who might abuse it? Their debate was cut short by a sudden shift in the environment. The realm around them darkened, and for a moment they felt a profound silence, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Then, just as suddenly, a new path opened before them, a corridor of light stretching into infinity. Zara's instruments beeped urgently. "It's a way back," she said, her voice a mix of relief and disappointment. James looked at his crew, their faces a mirror of his conflicted emotions. "This is our exit," he said, "but taking it means deciding what comes next." Together they made the decision to return, armed with knowledge and the power to potentially reshape their universe. They activated the artifact, the nomad moving towards the corridor of light. As they passed through, the sensation was indescribable, a feeling of being stretched and condensed, a journey through the very essence of existence. And then, just as suddenly, they were back in their own galaxy, the familiar stars greeting them like old friends. The return was not the end but the beginning. With the artifact secured, James and his crew faced new challenges. How to protect this power, how to use it wisely. They became guardians of a secret that could either doom or save their civilization. As they approached a space station, the reality of their choices settled in. They had ventured into the unknown, and returned changed, holding the future in their hands. James took one last look at the artifact, now silent and inert. "We have work to do," he said, determination in his voice. "Let's make sure it counts." The nomad docked, and the crew disembarked, stepping into a future they would help shape. Behind them, the artifact remained a silent testament to their journey, a journey that had changed them, and might one day change the world.